Welcome to Make Your Own Font. My name is Kimberly Yilatello, and I've made this video as a companion piece to go along with these handouts. I'd like to go over the materials that you're going to need to do this project. And although there are a lot of variables in pens and papers, I'm just going to recommend what I use and then go from there. My favorite pen for this project is a Sigma Micron, and the point that I have grown to love for font making is 03. You can also use a 02 or as fine as a 01, but for right now I would like for you to stay inside that 3-point choice. Here are the other brands that I have. Tombow and Zig, any of these will work. Any of these brands. There's Statler, and there's lots of other brands that you could use. So just pay attention to the point size, and you'll be good to go. That is listed right here on your front page. Paper, I like to use either HP Premium 32, and I also love using cardstock. I use a 65-pound cover. It's got a nice bright white, and that really does help with the final result. So either of those two. The biggest thing about paper, as any calligrapher knows, you do not want pen bleed or feathering. So any paper that's 8.5 by 11, bright white, that does not bleed or feather when you put the pen to the paper, then you're good to go. This next page in the instructions goes right to scanning your final font, but we're going to skip over that, and we're going to go down here and we're going to talk a little bit about working inside your template. So here you have a template. I've got some lines written on here, and I have a letter sketched in here that I was using earlier. But I'd like you to pay close attention to this beautiful diagram right here that Scan a Hand, the font program, sent. And here on this top is the do's, and here on the bottom are the don'ts. So over here, it's got a description of all the little ledger tick marks: cap height, X height, baseline, descender. And all of these are properly placed. The more you can center each one of your letters, the more you will be happy with the final product. Down here is a great example of all the different styles you do not want to do. Too low, too fat and too low together, too expanded, too small, too long, too thick, and I'm not quite sure, I think this is too small. So just look at these and you'll be good to go. Next thing I recommend is just getting some nice blank paper and doing warm-ups before you sit down to make your font. And you can do warm-ups however you like. I like using pencil, and then also doing an alphabet. Doesn't have to be anything special, just in your own hand. This is kind of what we're going for on this first font project, is just your own style of writing. If you slant your writing naturally, go ahead and do that. I really like my fonts to be up and down, and then I use the italics feature on my computer to slant my font. Okay, so you warm up, and I would even maybe plan out what your alphabet is going to look like. If it's just going to be straight print, if you want to do a foundational hand, if you want to do an unsealed hand, if you want to do some other lettering form, as long as you can fit it properly into these guidelines, okay? Printing works best, but you can still have a lot of fun with different styles of printing. On this fourth page, I've got some font examples, And these are some of the fonts that I've created over the last couple of years, and I've just named them silly things. This is the one that I just used recently with my 03 that I like so much. This font was made by my son when he was a boy. He's 32 now, so this is so fun. And if you can get a grandchild to do a font for you, I'd be happy to convert that font, generate it, and get it back to you so that you can type with it. It's just fun. So those are some examples of what you can do staying inside those guidelines that we've talked about, okay? After you have a good idea of the font you would like to create, just go ahead and start filling in your template. You can do pencil first and copy over it in pen. There's pros and cons to doing that. I really have gotten so that I almost prefer practicing my letters ahead of time on another sheet and then going right to the clean template with pen. I find that that even works better once you have an idea in mind. Okay, so your template, you're going to fill this in. One other thing I wanted to mention briefly is that when you get to all these symbols that we rarely use, that's where you can fill in with fun little clip art drawings. I just have so much fun. And because fonts are vectorized, when you enlarge your font, they stay nice, crisp, and clean on your paper. It's wonderful. And then remember to fill in this signature block, and you can do anything you want. You can put little drawings in there. You can draw your name. You can do a phrase, have a good day, anything as long as it's inside those ascender, descender, X height, those ledger tick marks. Okay. And when you have this installed on your computer, you're just going to do Shift 6 and it will bring up that signature box, whatever's in it. Okay. All right. And then finally, we're going to go to the scanning. And when you go to scan, just follow these directions under number 4. Everything is there that you need. Okay. You're saving it as a JPEG. You're going to scan it somewhere between 300 and 600 DPI. And you're going to make sure that this paper, your template, is squared up and the lines are all nice and straight because the font generator program reads those lines, and that's how your font is going to generate. And at the end, you don't want all your letters going slanted in your font. So just do your best to get that on that scanner bed properly, good and straight. That means too, when you print out your template, it needs to be straight on that paper. Those lines parallel and perpendicular to the paper's edges. Okay. All right. Then you're going to email me that scan document, and you're going to include your name, the type and paper that you used, the pen type, and the point size that you used, because we are all going to be interested. If we see a particularly handsome font, we're going to want to know the kind of paper and the pen weight that you used. All right, I think I've got some tips and tricks here, and any other questions that you might have, please feel free to just send them to my damselfly52 Gmail email address, and I would be happy to answer those questions that you have. All right, don't overthink it. Have fun. Paper's cheap, and I guarantee you that when you get started, as you're working on a font, you're going to be thinking of another one that you'd like to create, because that's kind of how those projects go. All right, you guys, have fun, and we'll talk to you soon. Bye.